The massive alien ship appeared over Earth without warning. It was bigger than any city, bigger than most countries. The dark metal hull blocked out the sun as it moved slowly across the sky. People everywhere stopped what they were doing and looked up. Some screamed, some ran. Most just stood there with their mouths open. President Helen Carter was eating breakfast when her phone rang. The caller was Jack Morrison, her defense secretary. His voice was shaking. "Helen, you need to get to the bunker right now. We have a situation." "What kind of situation, Jack?" "The kind that might end the world." 20 minutes later, Helen stood in the underground command center beneath Washington. The main screen showed the alien ship floating above New York City. It was so large that its shadow covered Manhattan completely. "How long has it been there?" Helen asked. "About an hour," said Lisa Brooks, her chief of staff. "It just appeared. No warning, no radar contact, nothing. 1 second empty sky, next second that thing." Commander Ryan Kelly from the Space Defense Initiative pointed to smaller screens around the room. "We're getting similar reports from around the world. There are 12 ships total, one over every major population center." Helen felt her stomach drop. "Are they hostile?" "We don't know yet. They're not attacking, but they're not responding to any communication attempts either." The answer came 30 minutes later. A smaller ship separated from the main vessel and headed toward Earth. It landed in a field outside Geneva, Switzerland. The Swiss military surrounded it immediately, but the ship just sat there, silent and still. Then it opened. The alien that walked out was like nothing anyone had ever seen. It stood nearly 8 feet tall on 2 legs, but that was where the similarity to humans ended. Its skin was covered in scales that looked like green crystal. Its head was long and narrow, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, the words came from a device around its neck. "I am Ambassador Kenneth of the Zephyrian Galactic Empire. I wish to speak with your leaders." The Swiss president was the first to recover from shock. "Welcome to Earth. I am President Mueller. We are honored by your visit." The alien tilted its head in a way that might have been confusion. "You should not be honored. You should be afraid." Within 6 hours, world leaders gathered in Geneva. It's a newly built First Contact Center. Had been designed for this moment, though no one had really believed it would ever be used. Presidents, prime ministers, and generals sat around a massive table. All staring at the alien ambassador. Kenneth stood at the head of the table. He did not sit. The device around his neck translated his words into every language on Earth. The Zephyrian Galactic Empire has ruled this galaxy for 1,000 years. We have brought order to 3,000 worlds. Today we bring that order to Earth. President Carter leaned forward. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means you will become part of our empire. You will pay tribute to our emperor. You will follow our laws. You will serve our purposes." The room was silent for a long moment. Then Carter asked, "And if we refuse?" Kenneth's eyes focused on her. "No species has ever refused. The price of refusal is extinction." To demonstrate their power, the aliens destroyed an old space station that had been abandoned for years. The beam of energy that came from their ship was invisible, but the explosion was not. The space station simply disappeared in a flash of light that could be seen from Earth. "That was our weakest weapon," Kenneth said. "We can destroy your entire planet with similar ease." Dr. Nina Walsh, Earth's leading expert on alien life, had been studying the ambassador since he arrived. She noticed something strange. The aliens seemed surprised by how calmly the humans were reacting. Most species, he had mentioned, either surrendered immediately or panicked completely. "What exactly do you want from us?" President Carter asked. 10% of your resources? 10% of your technology? 10% of your population to serve as workers in our empire." "Workers, or slaves?" asked Prime Minister Johnson from Britain. "The distinction is not important. You will work where we tell you to work. You will do what we tell you to do. In return, we will allow your species to continue existing." General Pete Collins, who commanded Earth's military forces, had been quiet until now. "How long do we have?" "To decide, 72 standard galactic hours. That is approximately 3 of your Earth days. And if we need more time? Kenneth's scales changed color slightly, becoming darker.
Oh,
There is no more time. 3,000 worlds have accepted our offer. None have needed longer than 3 days to understand reality. The meeting ended with no agreement. The alien returned to his ship, which then rejoined the massive vessel in orbit. World leaders remained in Geneva, but they were no longer talking to aliens. They were talking to each other. "We can't fight them," said President Petrov from Russia. "Did you see what they did to that space station?" "We can't surrender either," replied President Carter. 10% of our population means 700 million people. That's 700 million mothers, fathers, children sent to work as slaves. Prime Minister Chen from China was looking at reports from her military advisors. Our best weapons are useless against their technology. Their ships have some kind of shield that makes them invulnerable to everything we have. Dr. Walsh had been quiet during the discussion, but now she spoke up. "I've been watching their ambassador. He's confused by us." "What do you mean?" asked Carter. "He expected us to react differently, either complete surrender or complete panic. But we're doing neither. We're asking questions, taking notes, trying to understand. He's never encountered a species that responds this way." Commander Kelly had been studying the alien ships through every telescope and satellite Earth had. They're powerful, but they're not invincible. Their technology is advanced, but it follows the same physical laws as ours. Energy, matter, physics, it all works the same way. "Are you saying we can fight them?" asked General Collins. "I'm saying we can learn from them. Every scan we take, every observation we make, tells us something about how their technology works." Duh. Debate continued for hours. Some leaders wanted to surrender and hope for the best. Others wanted to fight and die free. But President Carter was thinking about something else entirely. "What if we do neither?" she said finally. "What do you mean?" asked Prime Minister Johnson. "What if we don't surrender and we don't fight? What if we warn them?" The room fell silent. Everyone stared at her. "Warn them about what?" asked President Petrov. Carter looked around the table at the faces of Earth's leaders. These were people who had studied human history, who understood what their species was capable of when pushed to the edge. Warn them about us. The next day, Earth made its decision. But it was not the decision anyone expected. Dr. Alan Foster sat in a plain white room with nothing but a desk, a chair, and a camera. He was a quiet man who studied history and human behavior. He wore a simple gray suit and glasses that kept sliding down his nose. He looked like someone who worked in a library, not someone who was about to deliver the most important message in human history. The camera was broadcasting to the alien fleet above Earth. Every ship in the Zephyrian Armada would receive this message. Dr. Foster adjusted his glasses and began to speak. "Hello, my name is Alan Foster. I speak for the people of Earth. We have considered your offer carefully, and we must respectfully decline." He paused and took a sip of water from a glass on the desk. "We suggest that you leave our solar system immediately. This is not a threat. This is a warning. You do not understand what you are dealing with." The message was only 2 minutes long, but it was followed by something much larger. Earth transmitted a data package to the alien ships. The package contained human history, but not the kind of history most species would share. The files included the Battle of Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans held off an army of hundreds of thousands. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, where starving civilians fought tanks with bottles and rocks. The Siege of Stalingrad, where humans fought over every building, every room, staircase for months. But the package also contained stranger things. Records of human endurance competitions where people ran for days without stopping. Medical studies showing how much pain humans could survive. Psychological reports about human behavior under extreme stress. There were videos of humans doing impossible things. A mother lifting a car to save her child. Soldiers continuing to fight with fatal wounds. Prisoners surviving years of torture without breaking. Admiral Vexkoth commanded the Zephyrian fleet from his flagship. He was an experienced military leader who had conquered 47 worlds. He'd seen every kind of resistance the galaxy could offer. When he received Earth's message, he laughed. "They decline our offer? With what army? With what weapons?" His second in command, Sub-Commander Quindar was studying the human data package. Sir, this appears to be historical records of their primitive conflicts. Show me. The first file they opened was about something called World War II. The numbers made no sense to them. 70 million dead, entire cities destroyed. Nations? Fighting until they had nothing left, then continuing to fight anyway. This cannot be accurate, said Quindar. No species would accept such losses. Dr. Mirabel was the fleet's expert on alien psychology. She had studied the minds of hundreds of different species. She was reviewing the human files with growing snarl. Concern, Admiral, I need to speak with you privately. They went to his personal quarters, away from the rest of the crew. What is it, Doctor? These humans are not like other species we have encountered. Look at this data. She showed him a file about human pain tolerance. Humans could survive injuries that would kill most aliens. They could function with broken bones, severe burns, massive blood loss. They also appear to have no psychological breaking point, she continued. Every species we have conquered has a limit. Push them hard enough, and they surrender. But humans seem to get more determined the more desperate their situation becomes. Admiral Vexkoth studied the files. There were records of humans fighting impossible odds and somehow winning, stories of humans who chose death rather than surrender, examples of humans sacrificing themselves to save others. This is just their propaganda, he said finally. Every species tries to make themselves look stronger than they are. I do not think so, sir. Look at their response to our arrival. Most species either panic or surrender immediately. Humans did neither. They asked questions. They took notes. They studied us. Back on Earth, the preparation was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Most species spent their final days in chaos with riots and desperation. But humans were calm and organized. General Pete Collins was not preparing for war in the way the aliens expected. He was not building weapons or fortifications. Instead, he was implementing something called Protocol 7. The protocol was not a battle plan. It was an evacuation plan. But the evacuation was not for Earth's people. It was for removing everything valuable that might be. Damaged in the coming fight, art treasures were moved to underground bunkers. Scientific equipment was scattered to hidden locations. Important cultural artifacts were sent to secret facilities. Why are we hiding our treasures? Asked Colonel Stevens, one of Collins' officers. Guess we are about to turn our entire planet into a weapon, Collins replied. Weapons get damaged when you use them. Dr. Emma Price was working in a laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains. She was studying every scan and image Earth satellites had taken of the alien ships, not trying to find their weaknesses. She was trying to understand how their technology worked. If we can understand their shields, we can copy them, she told her team. If we can understand their weapons, we can build better ones. Her assistant, Dr. Kevin Blake, looked at the alien ship designs with frustration. Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours. How can we possibly catch up? We do not need to catch up, Dr. Price replied. We just need to learn faster than they can adapt. Humans are very good at learning. But on the alien flagship, Admiral Vexkoth was becoming more concerned. His intelligence officers were reporting strange human activity all over the planet. They are not building defenses, reported his chief analyst. They are dismantling their cities and moving everything underground. What kind of strategy is that? Unknown, sir. We've never seen anything like it. Dr. Mirabel had been studying more human files. She found records of something called the Blitz, where humans had continued normal life while bombs fell on their cities every night for months. She found stories about the siege of Leningrad, where humans ate leather and wallpaper paste rather than surrender. She found documentation of human behavior in natural disasters, where they ran toward danger to help others instead of running away to save themselves. Admiral, she said urgently, I recommend we withdraw from this system immediately. Withdraw? From a primitive species with no space fleet? Sir, I have studied the psychology of every species in our empire. Humans are different. They do not think like other intelligent life forms. How are they different? Other species fight to preserve their lives. Humans fight to preserve their ideas. They consider their individual deaths acceptable if it helps their cause. This makes them unpredictable and extremely dangerous. Admiral Vexkoth, dismissed her concerns. He had conquered 47 worlds with overwhelming firepower. Earth would be number 40-8, but as the deadline approached, strange reports continued to come in. Humans were not preparing to surrender or flee. They were preparing for something else entirely. They were preparing to teach the galaxy what it meant to be human. The 72 hours were almost up. Soon, the Zephyrian Empire would learn why Earth had warned them to run. The 72 hours ended at exactly noon Earth time. The Zephyrian fleet had been waiting for either surrender or panic. They got neither. Instead, Earth went silent. Admiral Vexgoth stared at the communications screen. No messages from the planet below. No desperate pleas for mercy. No final attempts at negotiation. The humans had simply stopped talking. Sir, reported his communications officer. All human broadcast signals have ceased. Television, radio, internet, everything. They dead? Asked Subcommander Quindar. No, sir. Our sensors show normal life signs across the planet. They are still there. They are just not talking. Admiral Vexgoth had conquered 47 worlds, but he had never seen anything like this. Species either begged for mercy or launched desperate final attacks. They did not go silent. Begin the bombardment, he ordered. Target their major cities. Standard intimidation protocol. Beams of energy struck down. At Earth's largest cities, New York, London, Tokyo, Beijing, the weapons were designed to destroy buildings and create terror, but not to kill too many people. Dead slaves were worthless. The aliens expected to see panic. They expected to see surrender messages within minutes. Instead, they saw something impossible. The humans were evacuating their cities in perfect order. There was no panic, no chaos, no stampede. People moved calmly through the streets, helping each other, following evacuation plans that seemed to have been practiced many times. How are they so organized? Asked Quindar. We are destroying their cities, and they act like this is normal. Doctor. Myravel was studying the evacuation patterns. Sir, I believe they planned for this. They expected us to attack their cities. Impossible. How could they know our tactics? They studied us, sir. For 3 days, they studied everything about us. They know exactly how we fight. But the humans were not just evacuating. They were doing something else. As the Zephyrian weapons struck Earth's cities, small objects launched from the planet's surface. They looked like primitive missiles, but they were not attacking the alien ships. Captain Ben Torres commanded one of Earth's few military space vessels. The ship was called Defiance, and it was originally designed for asteroid mining. Now it carried a crew of volunteers heading toward the alien fleet. Sir, reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Scott Palmer. Those were not missiles. They were scanner pods. They are studying the alien ships while they attack us. Torres understood immediately. They are learning how to fight us by letting us fight them first. On Earth, Dr. Emma Price was receiving data from the scanner pods. The information was being broadcast to every research facility on the planet. Within hours, human scientists were studying Zephyrian technology in detail. Look at this, she told her team. Their shields work on a rotating frequency. If we can match the frequency, we can get through them. Dr. Kevin Blake was working on the weapons data. Their energy beams are powerful, but they take time to recharge. There is a gap of exactly 4 seconds between shots. All over Earth, factories were retooling. The information about alien technology was being used to build new weapons and defenses. Humans were learning and adapting faster than the Zephyrians had thought possible. Admiral Vexgoth was growing frustrated. The bombardment had been going on for 6 hours, and still no surrender. The humans just kept evacuating and studying. Sir, reported his sensor officer, we are detecting unusual activity on the planet's surface. It appears they are modifying their industrial facilities. Modifying them how? Unknown, sir. But the energy signatures are changing. They are building something. The first human ships launched from Earth 8 hours after the bombardment began. They were not the primitive vessels the aliens expected. These ships had been built using stolen Zephyrian technology, combined with human engineering. Captain Torres led the attack in the Defiance. His ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it moved in ways that confused the Zephyrian gunners. It dodged and weaved like a fighter plane, not like a spacecraft, ordered Admiral Vexkoth. The Zephyrian weapons fired, but the human ship was already somewhere else. It had moved in a pattern that made no sense to alien tactics. How did they know where to dodge? Asked Quindashdar. Dr. Miravel was studying the human ship movements. They're not following standard space combat doctrine. They are using atmospheric flight patterns in space. No one has ever tried that before, where human ships launched. Each one was different, built for different purposes. Some were fast and small, designed to confuse the enemy. Others were larger, carrying weapons that had been reverse-engineered from Zephyrian technology. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Zephyrians had experienced. The human ships fought with desperate courage, but also with perfect coordination. When one ship was damaged, another immediately took its place. Commander Janet Stone led a squadron of converted mining ships. Her vessel, the Liberty, was hit by alien fire and began to break apart. Abandoned ship, she ordered her crew. But as the crew evacuated, Stone did something the aliens had never seen before. Instead of trying to save her ship, she aimed it directly at the nearest Zephyrian cruiser. The Liberty's engines were damaged, but Stone used the ship's mining equipment to create thrust. She manually piloted the dying vessel toward the enemy ship. "What is she doing?" asked Quindar. "She's going to ram us," said Dr. Miravel quietly. The Liberty struck the Zephyrian cruiser at full speed. The explosion destroyed both ships and damage to others nearby. Admiral Vexkoth stared at the destruction in shock. She killed herself to destroy one ship. That makes no tactical sense. "It makes perfect sense to humans," replied Dr. Miravel. "They do not calculate individual survival. They calculate mission success." The human attacks continued throughout the day. Every time a human ship was destroyed, its crew fought until the last second. Many ships rammed alien vessels when their weapons failed. But the most disturbing thing was how quickly the humans learned. Each wave of human ships fought better than the last. They adapted to Zephyrian tactics in real time. Dr. Price was coordinating the technology transfers from her underground laboratory. "We have cracked their shield frequency," she announced, broadcasting the solution to all human vessels. The next wave of human ships came through the Zephyrian shields like they were not there. Alien weapons that had been unstoppable for 1,000 years suddenly became useless. Admiral Vexkoth watched his tactical advantage disappear. "How are they learning so fast?" "Because they are not afraid to lose," said Dr. Miravel. "Every ship they sacrifice teaches them something new. They treat their defeats as education." Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Blake was leading ground operations. On Earth, the aliens had landed troops in major cities, expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found that humans had turned their cities into elaborate traps. Every building was a fortress. Every street was a kill zone. Humans fought with weapons that should not have worked against alien technology, but somehow did. "Sir," reported one of Blake's officers, "the aliens are retreating from downtown. They cannot understand our tactics." "Good," replied Blake. "Keep them confused. The more time they spend trying to figure us out, the more time our people have to learn about them." By the end of the first day, Admiral Vexkoth faced a situation he had never encountered in his military career. His fleet had suffered significant losses against a species that had no space navy 24 hours earlier. The humans were not just fighting back, they were winning, and they were learning faster than he could adapt to their changes. 3 days into the invasion, Admiral Vexkoth stood in his command center, staring at numbers that should not exist. His fleet had lost 40% of its ships, 40%, against a species that had never fought in space before. "Sir," reported his damage control officer, "we have lost 5 capital ships, 23 cruisers, and over 100 support vessels." Subcommander Quindar looked at the tactical display in disbelief. "How is this possible? We are fighting primitive humans with converted mining ships." Dr. Miravel had been studying human behavior for 3 days without sleep. Her 4 eyes were dim with exhaustion, but her voice was urgent. "Sir, we need to retreat immediately." "Retreat?" Admiral Vexgoth could not believe what he was hearing. From humans? Yes, sir. They are not fighting like any species we have encountered. Every battle teaches them something new. Every ship they lose makes the next ship better. She showed him the tactical analysis. The first human ships had been destroyed icily, but each wave fought better than the last. The humans were learning from their mistakes faster than the Zephyrians could exploit them. Look at this pattern, she said, pointing to the screen. Day 1, their ships lasted an average of 4 minutes in combat. Day 2, 7 minutes. Today, 15 minutes? At this rate, by tomorrow their ships will be better than ours. Admiral Vexgoth refused to believe it. He had conquered 47 worlds. He would not be defeated by humans, but on Earth. Something was happening that proved Dr. Myravel right. Dr. Grace Miller was Earth's chief military strategist. She worked from a bunker deep beneath the Colorado Mountains, coordinating the planet's defense. But she was not trying to win the current battle. She was preparing for the next one. Phase 1 is complete, she announced to the global command staff. We have successfully learned how to fight Zephyrians. President Helen Carter joined the meeting through secure video link. What do you mean, Phase 1? The battles we have been fighting for 3 days were never meant to win, Madam President. They were meant to teach us. Every ship we lost, every soldier we sacrificed, every city they damaged, it was all data. Dr. Miller brought up a holographic display showing human ship designs. These are not the converted mining ships and research vessels we have been using. These are purpose-built warships, designed specifically to fight Zephyrians. Had been built in secret, in factories hidden on the far side of the moon. They incorporated everything humans had learned about alien technology, but they were designed around human tactics and psychology. When do we deploy them? Asked General Pete Collins. Now, replied Dr. Miller. The human fleet that emerged from behind the moon was completely different from anything the Zephyrians had seen. These ships moved with deadly precision, but they also moved in patterns that made no sense to alien commanders. Commander Janet Stone had survived the destruction of the Liberty by ejecting in an escape pod. Now she commanded a new ship, the Retribution. It was built using Zephyrian technology, but it was designed by humans who understood what humans did best. All ships. This is Stone, she broadcast to the human fleet. Remember, we do not fight to survive, we fight to win. The battle that followed changed everything. The human ships did not try to match the aliens in firepower. Instead, they used tactics that the Zephyrians found impossible to counter. When a human ship was outnumbered, it did not retreat. It called for help, and other human ships immediately responded. When a human ship was damaged, it did not try to escape. It used its damage as a weapon. Ramming enemy vessels or exploding in their midst, Captain Rick Hayes commanded the new human dreadnought Determination. His ship was smaller than the Zephyrian flagship, but it fought with a ferocity that shocked. The alien crew reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Carol Wright. We have penetrated their shields. Targeting their main engines? Negative, replied Hayes. Target their communications array. Cut them off from their fleet. This was typical human thinking. Instead of trying to destroy the enemy ship, Hayes wanted to isolate it. Zephyrian ship alone was just a ship. A Zephyrian ship cut off from its fleet was a confused ship, Admiral. Vexgoth watched his carefully coordinated fleet fall apart. As human ships disrupted their communications and confused their formations, humans fought like a pack of predators. Working together to bring down larger prey, Sir, reported his communications officer. We are losing contact with our outer ships. The humans are jamming our signals, and fight them ship to ship. We cannot, sir. They do not fight ship to ship. They fight as a group against individual targets. Dr. Moroval was studying the human attack patterns with growing horror. Sir, they are using pack hunting techniques. This is how primitive predators hunt large prey. We are not prey, said Admiral Vexgoth angrily. To them, we are. The turning point came when the human ship Phoenix engaged 3 Zephyrian cruisers at once. The ship was outgunned and outnumbered, but its captain, commander, Lisa Brooks, had a plan. Instead of trying to fight all 3 ships, she focused on one. The Phoenix ignored the other 2 ships completely and concentrated all its firepower on destroying a single target. When the first Zephyrian cruiser exploded, Brooks immediately turned to the second one. The remaining two ships tried to coordinate their attacks, but the Phoenix was already among them, too close for their heavy weapons to target effectively. "She is using our size against us," observed Dr. Meyerville. "Our ships are too large to fight effectively at close range." The Phoenix destroyed the second cruiser, but was heavily damaged in the process. The third Zephyrian ship moved in for the kill. Commander Brooks made a decision that perfectly demonstrated human psychology. Instead of trying to escape, she ordered her crew to abandon ship. Then she set the Phoenix on a collision course with the last enemy vessel. "Why did she sacrifice herself?" asked Subcommander Quindar. "She could have retreated." "Because humans do not calculate individual survival," replied Dr. Miravel. "They calculate mission success. Destroying that ship was more important to her than her own life." But the most disturbing thing about the battle was not the human tactics. It was how calmly they fought. The alien crews were becoming panicked and confused, but the human crews remained perfectly coordinated. Captain Hayes received a damage report from his engineering officer. "Sir, we have lost main engines and most of our weapons. Can we ram them?" "Yes, sir." "Then do it." The Determination, dying and nearly powerless, used its last functioning systems to crash into the Zephyrian flagship. The explosion damaged both ships, but Admiral Vexkoth's vessels survived. However, the psychological impact was devastating. The Zephyrian crew had watched humans sacrifice ship after ship, life after life, to achieve their goals. It was like fighting an enemy that felt no fear and accepted no defeat. "Sir," said Dr. Mirvel quietly, "we need to retreat now, while we still can." Admiral Vexkoth looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was gone. The other half was scattered and demoralized. The humans had ships left, and they were getting better at fighting with every passing hour. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Vexkoth gave an order he had never thought he would give. "All ships, prepare to withdraw from this system." But as the Zephyrian fleet began to retreat, they discovered something terrifying. The human ships followed them. The species that was supposed to become their slaves was chasing them out of their own solar system. And they were not just chasing them, they were hunting them. The Zephyrian fleet ran. The first time in 1,000 years, the mighty Galactic Empire was retreating from a primitive world. But they were not running fast enough. Admiral Vexkoth watched his sensors with growing fear. The human ships were following them beyond Earth's solar system. They were not just defending their home, they were hunting. "Sir," reported his navigation officer, "the human ships are gaining on us. Their pursuit formation is unlike anything in our tactical database." Dr. Mirvel studied the human fleet movements. "They are not trying to catch us, Admiral. They are hurting us. Hurting us toward what? Unknown, sir. But they are forcing us onto a specific course." The answer came 6 hours later. The human fleet had driven the Zephyrian ships toward a small asteroid field where more human vessels were waiting. The aliens found themselves surrounded. Captain Rick Hayes now commanded the human flagship Retribution. Built from the wreckage of captured Zephyrian ships, he opened communications with the alien fleet. "Admiral Vexkoth, this is Captain Hayes of the Terran fleet. You came to our world demanding tribute. Now, we demand something from you." "What do you want?" asked the Admiral, his voice tight with fear. "Surrender." The word hung in space between them. No species had ever demanded the surrender of a Zephyrian fleet. The idea was impossible. "You cannot be serious," said Admiral Vexkoth. "I am completely serious. You have two choices. Surrender now, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet. You do not have the firepower." Captain Hayes smiled, though the alien could not see it. "Admiral, you still do not understand what you are dealing with. We do not need superior firepower. We have something better." The human ships began to move. They did not attack in formation like civilized fleets. They swarmed like insects. Each ship moving independently, but working toward the same goal. The Zephyrian ships tried to fight back, but they were confused and demoralized. Every time they targeted one human ship, 3 others attacked them from different angles. The battle was over in 30 minutes. Half the remaining Zephyrian fleet was destroyed. The other half surrendered. Admiral Vexgoth was brought aboard. The retribution as a prisoner. He expected to be executed or tortured. Instead, he was taken to a comfortable room and offered food and water. Captain Hayes sat across from him at a simple table. "Why did you not kill me?" asked the admiral. "Because we are not like you," replied Hayes. "We do not kill prisoners." "Then, what do you want?" "Information. You want to know about your empire. How many worlds have you conquered? How many species have you enslaved?" Admiral Vexgoth told them everything. 3,000 worlds. Hundreds of species. A galactic empire built on fear and slavery. "And now it ends," said Captain Hayes. "You cannot destroy an empire that spans the galaxy. Watch us." President Helen Carter stood in the ruins of Washington, D.C., speaking to a camera that would broadcast her message across the galaxy. The city had been damaged in the first alien attack, but it was being rebuilt. Humans always rebuilt. "People of the galaxy," she said. "The Zephyrian Empire came to Earth demanding tribute. They threatened to enslave our people and destroy our world. We warned them to run. They did not listen." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "The Zephyrian Empire is finished. Any species that has suffered under their rule is welcome to join us in ensuring they never threaten anyone again." The message was broadcast to every world in the Empire. The effect was immediate. Species that had been enslaved for centuries suddenly realized that their oppressors could be defeated. Rebellions began on dozens of worlds simultaneously. The Zephyrian military, already demoralized by their defeated Earth, could not cope with multiple uprisings across their territory. Dr. Carol Wright, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to alien species, helped coordinate the rebellion. Working from a captured Zephyrian command ship, she sent messages of support and tactical advice to rebel groups across the galaxy. "The key is coordination," she told the rebel leaders. "The Zephyrians are strong when they can focus on one threat at a time. But they cannot fight everyone at once." Within 6 months, the 1,000-year-old Zephyrian Empire collapsed completely. Their capital world surrendered without a fight. When human ships appeared in their system, the humans did not conquer the Zephyrian worlds. Instead, they helped each species establish their own governments. They shared their technology freely and asked for nothing in return except friendship. Commander Janet Stone established the first Terran embassy on the former Zephyrian capital. She worked with freed slaves and former oppressors alike, helping them build a new society based on cooperation instead of conquest. "Why do you help us?" asked Kyneth, former ambassador who had first threatened Earth. He was now working with the humans to establish peace. "Because that is what humans do," replied Stone. "We help each other." The galaxy had been transformed. The old empire of fear and slavery was replaced by something new, the Terran Federation. It was not an empire built on conquest, but a voluntary, the alliance of free species working together. Dr. Grace Miller became the first director of the Federation. She worked from Earth, coordinating trade, diplomacy, and mutual defense among hundreds of worlds. "How did you know?" asked Admiral Vexgoth. During one of his regular meetings with human officials, he was no longer a prisoner. He'd been offered the chance to help build the new galactic order, and he had accepted. "No what?" asked Dr. Miller. "That you could defeat us? Your technology was primitive, your fleet was tiny. By all logical calculations, we should have destroyed you easily." Dr. Miller smiled. "You calculated wrong because you did not understand humans. You thought strength came from superior weapons and larger fleets. It does not? No. Strength comes from never giving up. Strength comes from working together. Strength comes from being willing to sacrifice for others." She showed him a file on her computer. It contained the human response plan that had been developed during those first 3 days after the aliens arrived. "We knew we could not match your technology immediately, so we did not try. Instead, we decided to teach you what it meant to fight humans." The plan was simple, but brilliant. 1. Learn everything about the enemy by fighting them. Phase 2. Use that knowledge to build better weapons and tactics. Phase 3. Pursue the enemy and destroy their ability to threaten others. But the most important part, continued Dr. Miller, was Phase 4. Help everyone they had hurt too. build something better. Admiral Vexgoth studied the plan with the respect of one military mind for another. You planned all of this from the beginning? We planned for the possibility? Humans are very good at planning for terrible things that might happen. Years later, when the Terran Federation included over 1,000 worlds, historians would look back at the first contact between humans and the Zephyrian Empire. They would note that it was not superior technology or overwhelming numbers that defeated the galaxy's greatest empire. It was the simple human refusal to accept defeat as final the Zephyrians had demanded. Tribute from Earth they had threatened. Humanity with extinction if they did not submit. Earth had warned them to run. The aliens should have listened. In the end, the species that was supposed to become slaves became the leaders of a new galactic civilization. The empire that had ruled through fear was replaced by a federation built on hope and throughout the galaxy. On worlds that had been enslaved for centuries, children learned a new lesson. No matter how powerful your enemy appears, no matter how hopeless your situation seems, never give up, because somewhere in the galaxy, there are humans. And humans never surrender.